Reaching you from Vintage 93.7 FM Oluyole Ibadan. I'm so glad to have you join me today, wherever you may be joining from, whether you're joining live on radio, Vintage 93.7 FM Oluyole Ibadan, or you are joining us on Facebook, joining us on LinkedIn, joining us on YouTube, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you so much for joining us. So this topic is going to be very, very beautiful and very, very interesting. And I hope you would be able to learn from it and the rest. So stay with us today as we enjoy the show. Stand by me, stand by me. It's the sky that we look upon. She's stumbling for on the mountain to go to the sea. Mm, I'm alive. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. Thank you for staying with me on your radio therapist, which is reaching you from Vintage 93.7 FM Olujole Ibadan. Right, your radio therapist happens here every Sunday 1 p.m. Every Sunday 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. So I want you to ensure that you are always here. If you have to set it on your calendar right now, set a reminder so that you don't forget. I would like that. You will be glad you did. Well, today's conversation is one that borders on mental health. If you're calling us on your radio therapist, you will realize that what we do here is always to discuss issues that border on relationship, marriage, family life, and mental health. Yes, I'm a counseling psychologist and also a family lawyer, but what I share here is not professional advice. What I or my guests and discussants get to share here does not amount to professional advice or professional counsel. What we do is simply to share educational information with you for orientation and education purposes. So we believe that with time you are able to learn one or two things, and that if you need professional help, you should contact a counseling psychologist or a therapist that is close to you. Yes, today's conversation is dealing with mental health in marriage, right? Because now we get to see people who have to suffer one or two mental health issues in their marriages, and how the mental health can actually affect your marriage negatively, and how mental health awareness can positively affect your marriage. Right. Today, joining me from the United Kingdom is also a regular discussant, an amazing person, a counselor working with us as counselor, joining us from the United Kingdom. She MMG is on ground to join us. MMG will be joining us right into this conversation. Not only MMG, we still have some other mental health counselors and psychologists, therapists that will be joining us into this conversation. And this is a question I want to ask you. Do you even know what mental health is all about? I think that's the first thing that I would like to ask people. Do you even know what mental health is all about? So people usually think, say, mental health, oh my mental health. And I'm always like, what do you know what mental health is all about, right? Because these days, once people just talk about mental health, what they are thinking about is mental illness. I mean, what many people say, what many people call mental health, it's actually nothing but illness, right? Because what mental health is actually a state of well-being that enables you as a human being, that enables individuals to cope with life generally. So we are talking about coping with life generally. Your mental health has to do with the health of your awareness, your emotional awareness, right? Your mental and emotional awareness. That's what we mean by mental health. Of course, I know some people say mental health is a state of the well-being that enables you to cope with the stresses of life, to realize your abilities, to learn well, to work well, to contribute to the community well, right? I understand that. But you should realize that when we're talking about mental health, or we are making reference to mental health, we are not just talking about things that are negative. No, come on, it's not just that. So mental health is more than just the absence of mental disorders, you know, and it encompasses everything and everything that has to do with our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Of course, influencing how we think, influencing how we feel, and also influencing how we act. Like I said, we have MMG joining us from the United Kingdom. MMG, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Are you there? Can you hear me, MMG?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, interestingly, I can
Hello,
hear
can you hear
MMG
me?
speak. Why can't I hear you?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, great, I can hear you now. How are you doing, ma'am?
Okay. I'm doing great. I'm doing good.
Okay, nice to have you here. Nice to have you once again on your radiotherapist. I think if we want to talk about our most regular guests and discussants this year, you should be one of them, because the other person that may be close to you may be Mr. Busayo, who interestingly the two of you have been guests at a particular time. So good and so glad to have you around and have you with us today.
Sure.
So I would like to ask you, MNG, when the topic, today we said we are talking about a topic dealing with mental health in marriages, and most people don't get to talk about it, how marriage generally, right? So we are talking about marriage generally and the mental health, the mental
Yeah.
state of awareness of people in their marriage, right? So I'll go
Yeah.
straight, and I would like to ask, what are some of the common mental health challenges that you think couples might face in their marriage?
To be honest, any couple can face any mental health challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It could
True.
be as a result of it being undiagnosed,
Okay.
and it could also be as a result of life challenges bringing it about.
Okay.
For example,
Mm.
women suffer from postnatal depression,
Yes,
prenatal depression,
that's true.
and some have, in some cases, suffered from both pre and postnatal psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just with regards to marriage alone, but there are some factors that can trigger it. That if
Yes,
you have not made yourself aware of what mental health is
true.
before marriage, it's very easy for you to think either it's as a result of curses,
Mm.
juju, or different things,
Mhm.
not realizing it is just as a result of life in general
Yes, I get that.
and the person's health. So,
I get.
depression is something we all go through.
Mhm.
Anxiety is another thing we all experience at different phases of our lives.
Yes.
And some of the key factors that can cause this in marriage, one of them is bills.
The bills that we have to pay.
Yes. Number two, another is not having proper boundaries with your family members.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereby the moment you are told your in-laws are coming or your sister-in-law is coming, your brother-in-law is coming, immediately you start having palpitations from nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Or even somebody from your own family.
From your exactly. So it's it's something that spouses will need to make sure that when they go for premarital counseling, they
Yes.
get themselves educated about the different types of mental health issues
Yes.
that as individuals we experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that when you notice your partner slash spouse
Yes.
is being triggered the moment you say, "Oh, I need to send money home." Oh,
True.
so and so uncle is visiting. Or
Mm-hmm.
so and so said XYZ about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, oh, okay, this is anxiety. Suddenly, my partner becomes very sleepy all the time. My partner doesn't want to do anything engaging. And
Yes.
you will now be thinking, oh, the person is lazy. It's actually not laziness. The person is like, I don't want trouble. I don't want wahala. I don't want all the things that comes with this person's visit.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the physical manifestations is what you can mistakenly think is the person being lazy.
Mm, mm, mm. I get that. I get that. And I like the way you have answered that particular question. Before we added you, before we joined you to this call and the rest, I was explaining how mental health generally has to do with your mental awareness, right? Your mental awareness, your emotional awareness. And I'm glad that
Mm-hmm.
you pointed out some things. You pointed out some things that, of course, in marriages we get to see people who suffer from depression, and they get
Yep.
to suffer from anxiety. You see people who, there are people too who suffer from stress and burnout. Of course, you mentioned postpartum depression as one of the ways we can see mental health issues in marriage. We're talking about trauma. We're talking about attachment issues. People who are now unnecessarily attached to maybe their friends, or they are attached to their parents or a sibling. We see some people who are dealing with addiction, people who are yet to recover from some infidelity and betrayal. MMJC, let's even go and let's talk about this thing.
Sorry, bro. I want to just correct you on something
Okay.
because it's not. It may seem like unnecessary attachment, but
Yes.
it's a coping mechanism.
Yes. True. True. Many of them is a coping mechanism that they have developed over time and
Yes,
the rest. In fact, it leads me to over the question that I wanted to ask. Like, for example, we get to see people who how will I explain this right now? People who may have suffered from one trauma, right? So they suffered from one trauma in a past relationship, maybe in a past marriage, in a past relationship. May not even have been married, maybe from past relationship. It may even be from a relationship with a family member, and they bring that trauma into the marriage. So
Yep.
their spouses becomes the victims of whatsoever trauma they are definitely going through. They are suffering and all of that. And I like the way that you have mentioned that. So I also want to ask a very simple question, right? How can, it's not simple actually, it's not simple because many people are suffering this thing big time. And I wanted to ask, how can mental health issues impact the different aspects of a person's relationship, right? Like, the different aspects of things like their communication, their intimacy, their decision making, their parenting, all their different aspects, the different aspects of marriage right now. What do you think, and how do you think trauma can actually affect these people?
Okay, it can affect it in many ways.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me start from finances.
Oh, great.
It could be that your spouse suddenly becomes a shopaholic,
Mm, mm,
or your spouse can go the opposite way and becomes so extremely worried about money
I get that.
that it becomes almost borderline being the Grinch of Christmas.
Mm.
And usually this comes as a result of something traumatic. For example, it could be that they had been defrauded, or somebody has stolen a huge amount of money from
Mm.
them,
Mm-hmm.
and they haven't talked about it. They haven't
Yes.
discussed what happened, how it happened,
Yes.
apportioned blame, taking responsibility, and created next steps to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where such opposite behaviors can come from.
That's true.
Because people underestimate the importance of talking things through.
Exactly. Exactly. You are very correct. You are very correct. In fact,
So that's what.
Okay, great. So continue. I'm with you.
Okay, so the second one is in terms of the way they train their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Some people end up deciding that, you know what, since no one is understanding me in terms of my partner is not understanding me,
Yes.
things are not going the way I want. My children are the only reason for me to leave. And sometimes that results in them having children that are extremely spoiled.
That's true. That's true.
Whereby it seems like it's only one parent that acts like the disciplinarian in the family, while the
I get
other
that.
person is always making excuses for the children's
Yes.
behavior.
Yes, that's
And
true.
again, it comes back to communication, because they've not
Mm.
addressed the issue that led to whatever problem that has triggered this. They are just one person is just pouring all their selves into let my children be my legacy,
I get that. I get that too.
and they don't want any third party involvement. And third party
Mm.
involvement is their spouse.
Wow.
And then in terms of their sexual life, this one I can relate with, because when I had my miscarriage in 2020, sorry, not 2020, in 2022, come 2023, I could count the amount of times on my finger when I was sexually active with my husband, because I felt like a failure. I felt
I
like
get that.
I failed myself, because we discovered that my fibroids had grown again, and this is the obstetrician suspected it could have been what caused the miscarriage.
Mm.
And then I now started actively trying again to have another pregnancy, and it just
Yes.
was not working again. And I'm just like, you know what, I cannot be bothered anymore, and I did not want to be touched or anything as such. And it was a very frustrating time for my husband, to be honest,
Yes.
because I did not feel attractive within myself,
Mm-hmm.
because I was constantly angry at the fact that my weight gain caused my fibroids to grow,
Oh, okay.
which in turn caused my miscarriage.
Yes.
You know, and then which I was feeling like this is another reason why I'm not able to actually get pregnant again. So it was just a very, very messed up thought process in my mind.
I get that.
But until I was actually able to sit down and have this conversation with my husband and
Yes.
told him how I felt about everything, including how I felt like a beach whale,
Yes.
I was not able to break through my thought process. And speaking
Okay.
with him is what made me realize that I was being unrealistic in apportioning blame to myself, because I had no control over my health conditions.
Yes.
I was just being very unkind and unfair to myself.
True.
And after that, things slowly improved. It wasn't where it was when we were first together, before and after marriage, where we were like bunnies when it came to sex.
Yes.
But slowly,
Mm.
it was getting to a place where sexual activity was back in the bedroom, and I
Awesome.
didn't hate myself anymore.
I get that. For this thing that you have mentioned now, there are times that I've asked myself several times, and I keep on asking, how are people who are expectant, how are they coping generally with their sexual life? Like, how is it affecting their mental health, which now also impacts on their sexual life? Because many people will just want to like, hey, see, please, what's the need? All the sex that we have been having, how many kids have it produced? What's the need having sex again? What's the need of us seeing and all of that? And we are asking, and you find these people now finding it difficult to say, oh, they want to still be intimate in that aspect because of all the anxiety and everything. And like you have said, many times these things also get to affect how people, their decision making, how they make, because of course they are not fine. They are not fine, so they cannot even make certain decisions where they cannot even resolve some conflicts where and all of that. So let me go straight to this question that I would like to ask. What are some of the signs that one or both partners in a particular marriage may be struggling with mental health? You know, the thing about it is that a partner can be suffering with mental health and the other person did not know. In your case, your partner did not know until you spoke out. Right.
Actually, he knew. That's the one thing I forgot to say. He knew.
Okay. He knew and he had the understanding. Super amazing. But there are many people who will not even know. There are many people who will not know. And there are many people who will not understand. Right? There are many people who will not know and who will not understand. And interestingly, the mental health issues, both parties can be suffering it. So maybe, for example, you are going through your own experiences, your unique experiences, and your partner, on the other hand, is also going through his or her own unique experiences. Because an event, for example, will have varied degrees of impact and different types of impact on the partners in the particular marriage, right? So now I would like to ask the question, how can, in your own way, to help partners right now to be able to identify and see these things, what are some of those signs that one or both partners may be struggling with mental health issues?
Okay, what are some of those signs you think? I'm actually going to go back to the beginning of being intentional, because I made a post about who you're getting married to.
Yes.
It's very important that you are a kind person, and so is your spouse.
Okay.
Because once your spouse is a kind person, it's very, very hard for them to miss how suddenly you are having subtle behavioral issues.
True. If they are also very, very observant.
Bro, it doesn't have anything to do with being observant.
Okay.
So, for example, if you're a kind person,
yes,
your partner is a kind person.
Yes.
On a normal day, your partner will always ask simple things such as, "Oh, babe, have you eaten?
True.
Do you plan on anything for dinner? Or do you need my help with anything?" Suddenly, the tone your partner asks it is almost like in a very lackadaisical attitude, almost like as if it's an effort or an error they are being sent on.
I get that.
And if you're a kind person, you pick up on that.
True.
Because like, are we fighting?
Exactly.
Did I do anything wrong? Did I upset you?
Yes.
These are the questions my husband was always asking me, and I would always say to him, "Babe, it's not about you. You've done nothing wrong. It's to do with me."
I get that.
So it's it's noticing that you're doing things just so differently from how we've always done them. And the thing is, a lot of people, when they go into this thing called marriage or partnership, a lot of them go in there with the mindset of I know it all. No, you don't know it all.
You're correct.
So the little thing that to you may think, oh, is Facebook influencing the change? Is her friends or his friends influencing the change?
Yes.
Are those things you should actually ask? Have I done something wrong?
I get that.
Are we okay?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes your partner will say, no, everything is okay, even though there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But continually being persistent until you break that barrier that your partner has put up is what will lead to the communication. Because that's one of the things my husband did.
Sure.
Until he now understood when I started saying, no, baby, it's not about you. It's to do with me.
Yes.
You've done nothing wrong.
Yes.
Now, if he was not consistently, when I say consistently, asking, babe, have I done something wrong? Did I do something that you're upset with? Because the subtle behavioral changes, sometimes I did not even know that I had changed.
Yes, I get that.
It's him that will inform me and say, oh, you did this, or the way you said this. I'm like, what did I say? What did I say? He noticed I didn't. So that's why I said it's so important to be kind.
I want to ask you a question. I would like to want us to maybe just go somewhere else. You know, right now in Nigeria, there is an economic hardship that is causing a lot of stress to people right now, and this stress is on everyone. The stress is on everyone. So we are having men and women who are unable, because of the value of their naira and their purchasing power, who are unable to now, like I was saying, that many Nigerians have switched to just the basic survival mode. Many Nigerians are not in survival mode. Survival mode in the sense that, please, let's just see how we can just buy food in the house, how we can buy fuel in the car to work, right? People are dropping their car or buy fuel in the car to be able to take children to school, how can pay up the school fees, pay up electricity. Some people are not running their generators again. People have just switched to survival mode to be able to survive the economic realities on ground in Nigeria. And interestingly, these things are now affecting everybody in the house. Right.
Yes.
So the husband is being affected, the man is being affected, the wife is being affected, and one way or the other, the children are also being affected because they are seeing that their parents are stressed, their parents can no longer afford the things that they ordinarily would be able to afford. Right. So for you now, everybody has to notice everybody. Right?
Yes.
You have to not notice that, oh, it is not only my husband that is being stressed because he's unable to provide. It's not only my wife that is being stressed that she's also not able to financially support and provide, or able to, if she gets money now and she goes to the market, she's not able to come back home with what she would have loved to buy, and all those different things that are attached to that, right? So now I would like to say, this is a question that I'm now wanting to ask here, right? So the question I'm wanting to ask is, for people, how can people, especially Nigerians right now, because Nigerians are primarily our audience on your radio therapist, of course, which is reaching most of our people via Vintage 93.7 FM, Oluyole, Ibadan. I would now like to ask, regarding these people and the rest, Nigerians right now, how do you think people should cope? What suggestions and recommendations you want to give to husbands and wives, you want to give to daddy, you want to give to mommy, and you also want to give to children who are, of course, of logical age?
Okay, so one of the things is, it may seem crazy, but if you're religious, I don't care what your religion is.
Yes.
Whether you worship Allah, Jesus, come together every evening and have family devotions.
Yes.
Because what you're doing is you're creating an open place of communication.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating a place where people are able to converse and talk about something outside of oil, food, rent, bills.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to talk about something that you all share a mutual belief and love of.
Yes.
That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, husbands and wives should spend time having date nights. It does not mean you have to stand up and go outside to buy food. Buy simple kuli and granuts. You cannot buy kuli and granot, make pop inside the house.
Right.
Even if it's your evening dinner, find a movie on Netflix. The two of you sit down and watch the movie while eating dinner. That's your date night.
True.
Because while watching that movie, you're communicating. Jesus, what kind of stupid man is this? Can you not see what the wife is about to do? Like, babe, calm down. Wait, we have not even let the fast flow. There and there, people are communicating.
Yes.
There and there, people are learning lessons. Doing that once a week. Then, if you're an adult child and you're like, okay, how do I make this easier for my parents?
Yes.
Help with errands around the home. It's as simple as not asking, oh, what does mommy need doing?
Mm-hmm.
A simple routine such as every morning you have swept the living room, made it tidy. You send a message to mom and dad. Hi mom,
Yes.
love you. I'm on my way out. I'm just tidying the living room. I hope you have a fantastic day.
True.
That's enough to elevate things. People are always thinking that it's the big things you need to do to show affection. No, it starts from the simple little things.
Yes, I get that.
And if I those simple little things, tell your parents when you're in trouble, because when you stop them, you may think they are not noticing, but suddenly you've been sending them those messages for 60 days, 90 days, you suddenly stop.
True. You're
Your
correct.
parents will not come outside and ask you, why do you stop sending me the message? They'll start with, is everything okay? Is everything all right? Are you well? Is all well? Are you eating well? They'll be using roundabout African way to ask you if you're fine. Because they notice suddenly that simple good morning, ma. I hope you have a great day. I've swept the parlor. I'm on my way to work. Very simple. It's reaffirming.
True. Very, very true.
And then when you
correct,
stop it, they become worried.
Mm.
And they start trying to make sure that their child is well. And the same thing can be done by you. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you.
Oh yeah, okay.
Loud and clear.
And the same thing can be done by you.
Yes.
To your spouse. I haven't done so in a while, but two days ago, I sent Luke a message telling him how much I love him. This man started ringing my phone non-stop. That, am I okay? Is everything all right?
For you to just come up and start loving him, like where is this loving coming from? Please.
The thing is, because I used to do that in the beginning when we were dating. By the time we moved in together, we married. I had other ways of showing him I loved him. I had other ways of showing communication, and it had changed.
Perhaps maybe you go back to what Revelation says. Is it Revelation chapter 2 now, if I remember it? And God will say, for you have abandoned your first love. You are forsaking how you used to love from the beginning. Right? There's actually a verse in Revelation chapter 2.
He actually said that. So I'm trying to get back to it. But then the thing is, we have little things we do for each other now. So, for example, as I'm talking to you now, I'm actually doing him breakfast to save money.
Yes.
And he runs all my errands. I can't remember the last time I properly went to the shop around the corner because I needed ice or anything. I just tell him, and he will go.
I get that.
So
I get that. In
we
fact,
started doing a lot of other things to show our love for each other. That when I sent that message, he was like,
mm,
"It's all well. Are we okay? Are we safe?" Because he still send me, my husband can write me long messages, especially after we've had a fight. How I'm the most
I get
important thing in his
that.
life and
I get
everything.
that.
So I'm used to that. So when he doesn't do something to
Yes.
appease me after we've had a fight, I'm always looking like, are we all right here? Are we okay?
What happened?
And vice
What
versa.
happened
So do
there?
you understand?
In
We've
fact,
already established
before
those
you even continue,
communication things.
yes. Before you continue, I would just like to remind our audience and remind everyone who is with us live on radio or you're with us on Facebook, on YouTube, or on LinkedIn that this is your radio therapist and it is reaching you from Vintage 93.7 FM, Oluyole, Ibadan. And your radio therapist happens every Sunday by 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. with I, yours sincerely, Earl Alright, counseling, psychologist, and family lawyer. Remember that the things I will share on this particular radio program is not professional advice, right? It's not professional counsel. It's just for education and orientation purposes so that if you need professional advice, you want to contact a counselor, a therapist closest to you. And of course, you can also contact us and we'll be able to help you. Today I have MMG and MMG is joining us from the United Kingdom onto this conversation. And in case you are just joining us, the topic we are discussing today is dealing with mental health in marriage. Yes, your radio therapist focuses on relationship, marriage, family life, and mental health issues. And so today we actually work choosing to discuss on dealing with mental health issues in marriage. And that's because there are many issues that happen in marriage, right? When we think that, oh, one partner is bad or one partner is being unreasonable or one partner is not acting properly, and it is just the person that is dealing with it's just that the person is dealing with one mental health issue or the other. And so we have been discussing and talking about how to identify that your partner may signs and symptoms for you to see that your partner may be dealing with mental health issues. And MMG had continued to start explaining to us how couples, right, how partners can play a role in supporting each other in dealing with mental health issues. Thank you, MMG, for being there because I have another question that I want to ask you, right?
Sure.
And yes, and the question I want to ask you is, it is very easy when things are down for us to in a bid to find out, oh, where is this coming from? How did this happen? How come we're unable to stop this? How come we are suffering this now? We try to do the blame game, right? We start to blame our partners, we start to blame people, just the same way it has always been from time immemorial, Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden. So the question I would like to ask is, how can couples, right? Because the last conversation you were sharing with us, we were trying to share with us how couples can support one another and be there for each other, right? Through all these drama that will be happening with the mental health. So how do you think couples can avoid blaming or shaming each other when one person is struggling and when one person is dealing with a mental health condition? How do you think couples can actually avoid that blame game and that shame game?
All right. So the thing is, let me start by saying, initially the blame game will always happen.
Mm.
So once you're conscious of it, that's where you now need to actually make sure that you're honest with yourself.
Yes.
And your partner to be able to say, you know what, you do XYZ, which means you end up becoming very defensive.
Mm-hmm.
When I correct you about XYZ, and you need to give real life examples.
Okay.
Not just saying it like, oh, just saying it for the sake of saying it. So, I'll give an example using my own personal life. My husband is extremely petty. People think I'm petty, but my husband is worse than me.
Okay.
And so the one thing I've had to say to him from day one is, babe, you need to stop being defensive. When I'm telling you that something is wrong and something is wrong here.
Yes.
And it took him a while, but because he was willing and ready to listen, learn, relearn, and unlearn,
Yes.
he actually took it on board.
Yeah, I get
So
that.
it is on both individuals being able to identify
Mm.
when your partner is being defensive
Mm-hmm.
and when you are being defensive,
Okay.
because that is where a lot of introspection comes through.
True.
Because I will give my husband this credit any day. He's one of the most introspective men I've ever met.
Okay.
He would tell you XYZ happened, so he thought about it, ran through the scenario in his head, because sometimes he will not even want to talk to you about the situation on the spot when it happens.
Just like me, I want to talk about it the next day because I want sufficient time to process it
Yeah,
and actually have a clear head when doing that.
exactly. And so this is something both couples need to have as an individual themselves, is introspection.
Yes.
Because that way you're able to link to, why does my partner always play the blame game? Why do I play the blame game? And that way, when you're not having that conversation with your partner, you're able to break it down as to the pattern of behavior. Because if you're not able to break it down as a pattern of behavior and show them using different examples, you to indirectly start playing the blame game in your own way.
Of course, unknowingly.
Exactly. So you need to make sure you're able to sit down. If you need to use pen and paper to write it down in a book, do so.
I get
But
that.
make sure it's not like you're keeping score.
True.
So you're able
So
to say,
true.
this is what you did, this is how it made me feel, but it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't mean I love you less, but this is the struggle it creates for us in our marriage.
Mm. Or you will
And
coming
that's
up
how
to
you're
tell the
able to
person,
overcome the blame game.
and you will also tell the person that, okay, next time I want us to see what things we can do to avoid.
Exactly.
When it comes to some mental health issues, there are many that can be predicted. You can predict many from the sleep habits of your partner. Maybe your partner is not sleeping properly, or you are not sleeping properly. Perhaps from the bad diet, they are not eating healthily, or they are not eating well. It could also be from the things they consume. Like there are so many things on social media I don't get to consume. Like I don't want to hear those gists. I don't want to follow those kind of gists and the rest. I'm like, see, come, I'm protecting my mental health, because I know if I get to follow those news and the rest, I may get stressed, I may suffer anxiety, I may even get angry, because I'm like, how could somebody do that? How do you do that? And all those things that get to always be. So the next question I want to ask you, MMG, is what are the ways you think couples can now maintain a positive outlook to life, and also to manage their resources available? Because I think one thing, people are stressing themselves a lot, especially in Nigeria right now. Like people are stressing themselves a lot. People are still, some people need to downsize. Some people need to change the school of their kids. Some people need to actually look at their homes and ask themselves, the subscriptions we are doing, do we still need all these subscriptions? People need to examine many things, and they are not doing that. So in 1 minute, I want to respond to this, because we'll be going to another question after now. How would you want couples to build resilience? How do you want them to build stamina? How do you want them to build this, maintain a positive outlook, and be able to also be there for themselves? Because couples ought to be there for themselves in trying periods.
So before you can pour into anybody else, you need to make sure you are poured into yourself first.
Great, true.
And you cannot pour out from an empty vessel and a burnt-out vessel. So this is why it's important that you make quality time for yourself. It could be as simple as watching your favorite series once a week
Exactly.
while eating your favorite meal. It could be as simple as getting your hair done or your hair cut once a week
Mm-hmm.
in peace and quiet by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It could be as simple as going to get your manicure and pedicure done and taking pictures of it and putting on your status or sending to your partner when you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to first of all take care of yourself first to be able to pour into
Yes.
other people.
Mm.
So number two, forget about pleasing people and living up with duties. Work within your means. Cut your coat according to your cloth. Cut your coat according to your cloth.
Mm.
Number
Mm.
three, the power of manifestations. Watch what you say, watch what you
Yes.
think, watch
Yes.
what you see, watch what you
Mm.
listen to.
Great.
And create set days or a set day in the month
Mm.
for you and your hobby to have your quality time.
Yes.
And if you have kids, for you and your kids to have quality time
Yes.
together and with each of your children individually.
Okay.
That's the only way to survive it.
And you've answered very clearly. You've given us an amazing way that we can go around this thing and be able to just handle it properly and ensure that we are not distressed here and there regarding this particular matter, right? So lastly, because our time is almost up on your radiotherapist, I will want to ask you this question. What are your thoughts regarding people seeking professional help regarding mental health issues? What are your thoughts?
I am a very big advocate of seeking professional help. Very big advocate, but not just seeking professional help, but seeking professional help from
Mm.
people that are trained, because not everybody's trained.
That's true.
And if you cannot afford to seek professional help because of the cost,
Mm.
there are many self-help courses online. Some of them are free,
Yes.
some of them are paid.
Mm-hmm.
Go for either.
Okay. Okay. You know, I've seen situations where a partner will feel that his spouse or her spouse needs therapy regarding mental health issue, and the person does not even want to. The person is like, no, I don't think I need to see a therapist. I don't think I need to talk to a therapist. I don't think there's anything wrong with me or there's anything wrong with my life or anything like that. For people like that, what would be your counsel?
My counsel is very simple. You are the architect of the problem,
Mm.
so you need to fix what you have created. What do I mean by you're the architect of the problem? So many of us enable these bad behaviors until they choke us.
Mm. Mm.
So, for example, if you know your husband is seeking therapy because he has an uncontrollable temper,
Yes.
stop covering for him.
Mm.
Stop saying things like, oh, it's because of stress. Oh, it's because of work.
Mm.
When you stop making excuses for the behavior,
Mm.
he has nowhere to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Because others will not be the ones to tell him, Oga, this your anger no be normal.
Yes.
And if he comes to you and say, this is what they said, Kidiko,
Mm.
stop covering with, they don't understand you, babe. I'm very sure they cause peace. Well, babe, I said you need help. When you're ready, this is the place to go get the help. Because it's not like it's overnight that these things happen, and it is extremely common.
Mm.
among among married women, because there's this belief that you stop doing a lot of premarital counseling that cover your husband, cover his sins.
Mm.
And the covering is what results in that behavior of I don't need help.
Mm. 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 So for you, what you say is that it's like what if I get you correctly, what you say is if you notice that your partner needs a therapist, your partner needs counseling, recommend it. Recommend it. Keep on saying it. Say it clearly. And the rest. Thank you so much,
Exactly.
MMG. So I'll be asking you, what are your final words for today dealing with mental health issues in marriages? What would be your final counsel for our audience, our viewers, and our listeners?
My final counsel will be, first of all, like I said, you cannot pour from an empty jar.
True.
Make sure you are first of all fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then make sure you don't hide the problem when you know the problem is there.
True.
Seek help from professionals,
Mm.
because sometimes people forget that they themselves need help to manage the problem.
True.
And in some professional therapy settings, this is where your therapist will tell you maybe a separation from him would actually help both of you, help you to get a mental break, help him to get a mental wake up call.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, MMG. It has been good
Thank you
having
for
you.
having me.
Thank you. In case you're just joining us, where you missed a lot, but don't worry so much, because if you go to our YouTube or go to our Facebook or our LinkedIn, you'll be able to find this episode to catch up on. You have been listening to your radio therapist, which is reaching you from Vintage 93.7 FM, Oluyole, Ibadan. Your radio therapist happens every Sunday at 1 p.m. So if you bring out your phone right now, bring out your device and set an alarm for 1 p.m. every Sunday, we'll be live here discussing your radiotherapist. We focus on relationship, marriage, and other family life and mental health issues. My name is El, and I'm all right, and I've had Mercy Grace MMG join us from the United Kingdom on the topic we have been discussing today, which is dealing with mental health issues in marriage. Next week, Sunday, we'll be having other conversations again. So I want you to still be here. Remember that mental health issues are not gender based, right? And the fact that you find right now does not mean that you should not check to know whether there is something that may cause a mental health deterioration, that may cause a mental health sickness or disease. Amen. There are bad. Pay attention to yourself, rest, eat well, have good relationship with your spouse and your children, and you are going to have a beautiful life. From the studios of Vintage 93.7 FM Ibadan, and also from the ancient and modern city of Ibadan, it is IL Alright. My name is El, and I'm alright, and I'm wishing you the very best of the week. Interestingly, next week Sunday is going to be a new month, October, and I hope you are here to enjoy that time with me. You're all.